Nina's Flower Shop. Is that a real place?
That is not a real place. So the set that we used is one of my friend's sets, and the um, the flower shop is like a fake. It's like a movie set
Right.
flower shop. And a little detail we wanted to add in when we found out that we were going to be doing the video at the place.
Hmm.
It's called Silver Dream Factory.
Hmm.
Is that we wanted to make my apron match the title of the flower shop, because when we were talking about the treatment, it was going to be, oh, I'm working in a flower shop. This boy walks in, and we had like the whole treatment kind of set. And me and my mom had to scramble because we ended up doing the video a lot earlier than we thought we were going to do it. So we had like a couple of days to put together all of the costumes and outfits and stuff like that. So we went to, I think it was like Joann's, and we got some iron on letters
Okay.
and just an apron, and I ironed on the Nina's Flower Shop thing to match the set. So we
Gotcha.
texted my friend and we were like, "What's the name of the flower shop in your movie set?" And he sent it to us, and that's kind of how we put it together.
So is there somewhere else we can look and see Nina's Flower Shop, like someone else's video or whatever that you know of? Like, is it still Nina's Flower Shop right now?
It is, yeah. So
Okay.
other people that have filmed at that site, if they haven't changed it, it's still Nina's Flower Shop. But other
Okay.
people, if they've used that set, it will be the Nina's Flower Shop set.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else is around there? So as you're shooting the video,
hmm
is it like a full street that's got a bunch of shops and stuff, or is it just that one view?
So it's like a full set. So they have like Nina's Flower Shop, and we also did some shots in the diner, which was like a 50s style vintage diner.
Hmm.
They have an airport set, there's a hospital set, there's an airplane set. There was a lot of sets that we didn't end up using.
Wow.
But the whole thing looks like you're just like walking down a street, and they have street lamps and like fire hydrants. There's a phone booth on one side. Just anything you could want
Okay.
was there. So we kind of wanted to pick and choose the right sets for the video and for like my vibe and my style.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And the inside of that, is that the actual inside of it, like, or is the inside a different set?
The inside was actually
Yeah.
the same. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For the flower
Cool.
shop and for the diner. Yeah.
Cool. What other things about shooting a music video for someone who's never done it before? What would be surprising to them, or what was really cool for you?
Um, I think I wasn't expecting the lip syncing to be like such a big deal. I know that every artist does it, and it's like, you have to lip sync to the song to make it match, but I
Right.
didn't realize that I would be doing it for the entire time. And the director was telling me, you need to sing, and you need to sing loud. Like, you need to actually sing, because it won't match if you just like move your mouth. So
Right.
imagine like, it was how long of a shoot? I think it was like 10 to 12 hours. It was a really long shoot.
Right.
And it was me just like screaming the song the whole time. And also like trying to do all of the stuff with singing as well.
Right.
So like when we were having the scene with me and him in the diner, I was supposed to be like messing with him while he was on his phone, but also singing the lyrics. So that was something I did not expect.
Hmm.
Also, it was completely freezing. I don't know how the director managed to make it look like it was summer, because it was a gloomy, cold. Like every time the director called cut, I was like under a coat, freezing. It was so cold. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Yeah. So the lip syncing thing that you're talking about, had you ever done like other like home videos, or was that this is like your first music video period?
Yeah, I mean, I've never done anything. I had only been on a set like a couple times just for like
Yeah.
other little random stuff. So
Hmm.
this was the first time it was like my own, production, like my own thing.
Yeah.
The video is mine, and like it was really interesting to go through, because when I first got there, me and the director walked through the set, and we did like a little walkthrough, and we were like, "This is what we want the video to look like from start to finish. We're gonna start here, and then we're gonna do this, and we're gonna do that," and like it was really interesting being on a set and kind of like being the one that
Hmm.
was like, it was about me. It was kind of
Yeah.
awkward, like,
Yeah.
because there was a crew, and there was a director, and there was like my mom and my grandma and like the guy that played my love interest in
Yeah.
the video. So it was fun, but it was like definitely a new experience for me.
That's cool. Was he some random actor, or is he like a dude you know in real life, or just
We
someone?
we found him actually online, and he came and did it. It was the first time we met, but it was so cool because he's really like, he has a really fun, like silly personality. So it was easy for us, because I was nervous because I had never met him before, and I'm
Right.
awkward with people I don't know. So I was like, oh, I hope this isn't weird. But
Right.
then that kind of awkward, nervous energy is a part of what the song is anyway. So
Sure.
it was like, either way it goes, it should be okay. But it was still nice to have somebody that I could like laugh with and like joke around with and just be comfortable enough to hang out with for that whole day. So he
Yeah,
was really cool. Yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah.
You said you found him online, like at what, Fiverr or like what? Where?
It was Craigslist actually.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So if you're hoping to be an extra in a music video, Craigslist is as good as anything else.
Really, honestly, because
Okay.
the director suggested it, and we were like, really? And we like it was crunch time. We had like maybe 2 or 3 days to find somebody, and we had some people responding to the ad, and he was kind of the best one that fit what I wanted, and there was like 30 responses. So it was a lot of people that we were going through, and he turned out to be the best person. So I was really glad with how it turned out.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. Now, this is a song that you wrote, right? This is your song.
I did, yes.
Okay.
So I wrote it like I want to say like a year ago, sitting on the floor in my bedroom, and it's so crazy that it has like come full circle and become my first single and become my first music video because I was not a big fan of it when I wrote it. I was
Oh,
like, like sometimes I write a lot of songs. Sometimes I write songs and I'm like, this one's kind of a throwaway one, but
right.
and so I wrote the song and I always play my mom the songs that I write, just like she's the first person that hears everything. So I wrote this song, California Dreamer, and then I wrote another one and I was really excited about the other one. And
Yeah.
I played her the other one and she was like, oh, yeah, I like that. And I was like, and I have this other one, I don't think I'm going to do
Of
anything with
course.
it. Like, it's not that good, but I'll play it for you anyway, just because I'm here. It was like,
Right.
that was the conversation. And I played California Dreamer for her and she was like, I love it. It's like one of my favorite songs you've ever written. And like, her saying that kind of made me start coming around to the song. And the more I heard it, the more I liked it. And we ended up picking it to be the first single. So it was so crazy how it went from something that I wrote and was like, whatever, to being like also one of my favorite songs. And I feel like really represents me as an artist to kind of come out the gate with something like that.
Yeah. Now tell me, I know it was a long time ago, but tell me about the process of turning that into like a fully produced song and like what were the steps after that before the video where the song was recorded and
So we met the producer, Nathan Walters. My mom found him on Instagram and she was like, I really think that this producer has a sound that you would like. So I listened to some of his music and I was like, yeah, I agree. And so we sent him a message and he agreed to meet with us. And so we met in his studio at Capitol Records, which was really cool. Took a lot of pictures. Um, and he played some music for me and we talked and I played him a couple of songs. Again, it was like I was still on the fence about California Dreamer at that point.
right.
So I wanted another song of mine called Polaroid to be my first single. And I played him Polaroid and I played him California Dreamer. And guess which one he wanted? California Dreamer.
Wait, was that with like a nod from your mom, like this is the one that I want, or
Well,
it was this song?
it
Okay,
was, yeah, he really liked it when he heard it. And he was like, that's the one that I want to do. So we talked about it and we ended up picking it to be the first single. And the process from there was so much fun for me because I love being in the studio and I love the creative process of just like taking something from just bare bones, like stripped back. I sat on my bedroom floor writing it to like a
right,
fully produced record.
yeah,
So I knew what I wanted because when I write these songs, even though like I feel like people label me a lot as an acoustic artist because I play by myself a lot,
sure, yeah,
these songs are always fully formed in my head. So I can always hear the full production when I'm writing. It's not just like a vocal and a guitar. It's always like a full band because full band sound is what I want to do for my whole album, just like
hmm
all my music. So when I was writing the song, I could hear everything that I wanted. And the most important thing for me was like a really good groove, like a really good rhythm section,
right,
something people could jam to. Like I wanted it to be a summer jam, drive
yeah,
down close to California with the top down type of style.
right,
So I put together a Spotify playlist of reference songs because I was like, okay, I like the drum tones in this song and I like the bass tones in this one and I like the harmonies or I like whatever. It was like 7 or 8 songs that I sent Nathan. And then I also put together a Pinterest board of pictures because I was like, this is what I visualized the song looking like. So it was a lot of like vintage kind of 70s California vibes, like
right,
70s California at the beach and like, that type of vintage, like pastel washed out colors, but just
hmm
super like what you would imagine the stereotypical California to look like.
right,
So I sent him that and I sent him the reference songs and it was like a lot of information. And then I was like, oh, let's get on a phone call so I can tell you what I like about each of these songs.
right,
And he was really patient and really awesome with just like absorbing all of this information and taking in all of my ideas. And then like factoring that into everything that was done from that point. So he hired some musicians to play on it, some musicians in Nashville actually.
Mm-hmm.
So like the whole song, besides some of the little electronic parts, are live.
Mm-hmm.
And so he put it together from there, and it was just like back and forth. He would do one draft and then send it to me, and then we would talk about it, and then we kind of built the song from there. So it was a really, really, really fun process for me.
Wow. Yeah. And so you had a lot of influence then in how it was recorded and who was playing what and all that then. It wasn't like you just handed it off to him and he did his thing and then came back with your song.
Well, I can't. I'm really like, I know what I want. So he did the initial track because I really liked it how he sent it initially, because he did like a little scratch thing where it was electronic with no live instruments. And then he had the live instrumentalist play on it, and he sent me that, and I was like, I like this. And then we built off of that. But it was like back and forth, me figuring out just like little details and little changes that I wanted to make, because like I had a very specific idea of what I wanted and specific groove and just like feel. And he was really, really good at like taking my ideas and bringing them to life. You know, sometimes you feel like as an artist, it's hard to articulate like how you feel and what you want your music to sound like to other people, because it's so alive in my head. But like, how do I communicate that to somebody that's not in my head?
Right.
You know? So I think it's important to just like make sure that you're with the right people, because he really understood me. Like, I feel like we really clicked musically, and that was a really big part of why the song turned out the way that it did.
Yeah. Well, I like your idea too of like getting together a playlist of other things that look and sound the way that you want them to, because so much of the frustration on the other side of that, especially with vocalists. I know you play guitar, and I'm sure that helps a lot with vocalists. Like, they have an idea of what they want something to sound like, but then like you're saying, just communicating that, like, and I need to know, like, do you mean eighth notes? Like, do you want it to be flat? Like, tell me, like, I want to do what you want, but how do I do that? And the vocalist like, well, I want it to be more like you know, like vintage sounding. Like, I don't know what that means to you. You know, so having a playlist and stuff like that it sounds like that'd be helpful. Now you also play guitar.
I do.
And yeah, I've heard you talk a lot about your practicing and stuff, and you're practicing voice and guitar.
Yes.
Okay. So what does a practice routine look like these days for you?
So these days, I just did the House of Blues in Anaheim, and it was like a really big deal for me to do this show because I got to play with a band that I put together, and so practice was really intense for that. So normally when I'm practicing, I start with the guitar. The guitar is kind of the thing that I want to just get over with so that I can work on the rest of the set. So I'll learn how to play it on the guitar. If it's my song, I'll clean up whatever I need to clean up, because sometimes I write things that are a little bit too advanced for me on guitar, and then I have to like practice them so that I can actually play it.
Yeah.
And so work on guitar for a little bit. That's like the first couple of days. It's just making sure that I can play the songs, and then work on vocals. And what I like to do is take songs in sections and work on like, what are the parts of the song that are hard to sing? What are the parts of the song that I don't like the way that they sound? And I pull the song apart. I print out all of my lyrics, and I highlight, and I like, you know, figure out how I'm going to place certain vowels and vocal placement and all that kind of stuff. And I do that for a couple of days. And then next thing is to do the whole set every day, like at least one time. So that's kind of how I did it for the House of Blues, is started and just made sure that I had everything down on guitar, because guitar for me is a tool that I use to play, and, you know, but it's not like top of my priority list. Like, I want to just be able to have the muscle memory of being able to play without thinking about it. Because like, if I am playing guitar and I'm like struggling, or I'm thinking about it, or I can't remember the chords, whatever, then it throws me off vocally, because like I just am trying to get to a place where I have as few things to think about on stage as possible. So just like locking in muscle memory with guitar, and then with the parts of the song that don't feel right is like the main thing. And then we go to doing the sets all the way through every single day. And I like to record them and then go back and listen through and see like if the songs flow really well next to each other, if we have to like rearrange the order. I'm saying we because my mom helps me with all of this. She's like my second ear, because it's hard for me to practice alone because I'm like a super perfectionist. So to have somebody, once I get to the point where I'm like doing the whole set, it's good to have somebody that's like, okay, that's fine, we need to move on, you know, because I will stay on one song for days.
Right.
So that's kind of how I do it. I like to break things down and then put them back together again.
Okay. Can you talk to me either about setting up a set, like how you place the songs and what you take in consideration, and or we got a lot of questions about songwriting. I don't know if you're sick of answering songwriting questions, but what your process is, or so those are two I think kind of go together. Like, how do you write a song, and once you have a song, how do you place it in your list?
Okay, so normally with a song, I start with chord progressions 90% of the time. So again, like I'm not the most amazing guitar player in the world. It's just like whatever sounds good to me and I build off of that. So I like a lot of like open, just pretty sounding chords. And so I'll start with the chord progression because I feel like the composition and the music kind of tell me what the song is supposed to be about lyrically.
Okay.
So start with like a couple chords and build off of them. And then
Can we step back for a second? So you say you start with the chord progression, like that is a mountain for most people, from what I can tell. So like, how do you get a chord progression?
Just like noodling. You know,
Okay.
I play a lot on a capo and like just trying to find chords that I think are pretty. Honestly, the fun thing about guitar is it's not as like linear as other instruments, so you can kind of just put your finger somewhere and see what it sounds like. And that's honestly how most of my songs have come. So like California Dreamer, it was just when I got that, it was a E minor chord, but it was on a capo. I play California Dreamer in C sharp. So it sounds completely different on a capo. Then I got the E minor and the G and the C, and then just got that groove. Once I got the groove started and the just like the feel locked in, then the first lyric came because I felt like it sounded super California. So the first lyric was Way Down on Sunset Boulevard. And then like once I got that lyric, then it was like, okay, I know what this song is going to be about. It's like, so I feel like every step kind of informs the next step.
Yeah.
And a lot of the time, writing is kind of like, I feel like some of my best songs come really, really fast, like all at once. So once I get the chord progression, it's just like the rest kind of flows.
Right.
So I think just being comfortable noodling around on the guitar and just being patient with it, because it's not like you're not going to get something amazing every single time or like overnight. I'm so guilty of just wanting things to be good immediately. So just being really patient and having like a basic knowledge of chord structure. I think I used to play a lot of covers before I started writing my own music, and just having a basic understanding of like how pop chord progressions work.
Sure.
Like kind of, you know, locked in the back of my brain somewhere, I think. And so when I get one chord, then it kind of tells me what the next one is going to be. And then, you know, so on and so forth with that.
Now you just did House of Blues. How long ago was that?
This was, what's today? Tuesday? It was Saturday.
Ooh, okay. You've been busy.
I have.
How'd it go? What was cool about it?
It was awesome. It was so cool because I really, really, really wanted to put together a band, because I just want to be in a band. You know what I mean? Like I want to have other musicians up there with me. And I have been playing a lot of shows around LA where they have like house bands. So the bands, you send the bands your music ahead of time, and then you show up and do sound check, or sometimes rehearsal, not very often, but you do sound check, and you kind of have to try and like lock in with musicians a lot of the times that you don't know in like 10 minutes for your sound check. So I really wanted to do something where I picked my favorite musicians from all of these shows that I've been playing and gave myself the opportunity to have like a rehearsal and also put together my original songs, do arrangements for my original songs that are not yet released and not yet recorded. So I picked some really awesome, really talented musicians. They're so cool. Just all of my favorite players. You know, I picked like a piano player from here and a bass player from here and a guitar player that I've known forever. And it was just like really cool to bring together people that I thought not only were going to know what I want, because it was like we picked the people that stuck out in every show. You know, every show we play, we're like, wow, that drummer is awesome. People that just like have personality, you know, stand out amongst other musicians. That was what we wanted for the band.
Actually, if I can pause you just for 1 second, just to point out to like students who are, I hear this from everybody, but unless you're talking to performers, you don't hear that. Like you pointed out, if someone's got a good personality or like the way that they present themselves has a lot to do with whether they get the next gig or not. It's not just about the talent that you have and how well you perform. Did you play the right notes and all that stuff? But if you're a jerk, you're not going to get hired again. So here from a person who is picking band members, she's saying, don't be a jerk, because that is important in your connection and whether you get that next gig or not. I'm sorry, what was that?
No, I was saying I totally agree, 100%, because I think like playing with the live band is so much about the connection between the people on the stage. Another thing that we factored in is that like they really like my music. You want to play with people that enjoy what they're doing, because I feel like sometimes you can get around musicians that maybe you're like not having the best time, not enjoying what they're doing, and then so it's really important, I think, that they like the music, that they like your music, because all of the musicians really liked California Dreamer. That was another thing I wanted, is people that like my song.
Yeah, right.
And I just feel like when you get on stage together, it's like an energy and a connection that needs to happen. You need to like each other. And I feel like an audience can see it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If it's awkward energy, or if there's like negative, if people are being negative or just like not having a good time, a lot of the times what we talk about is like, we don't want to play with people who are like robots, like playing robots, like people that just are on autopilot, just going through the chords, going through the motions, like, oh, I know the music and that's all I need. Really, It's like, especially after doing the House of Blues show and seeing how much nonverbal communication was happening just constantly between me and the band, and how it was so much about like us connecting and then trying to, form a connection between the audience based off of what we already had up there. If the audience can see that we're having a good time and that we're enjoying our time together and that we're enjoying our time with them, then I feel like that just makes it so much more, gives them like so much more reason to be interested and locked in and like, wow, they look like they're really having a good time up there. So just finding people that have great personalities, that like my music, and that just like enjoy being musicians.
Yeah. I mean, it's true in other industries too, but I just hear that from everybody, that like if you're a good person, you're gonna a lot more likely to get the gig next time than someone who's I feel like you could tell, like, because everyone is out there, of course, trying to make it, trying to get the big break or whatever, and trying to be great and be awesome, but you can tell like the ones who it feels like they've been ground down a little bit by like just like gig after gig, like showing up and playing this person music, playing this person music, and they have that look in their eye of like, I'm here to pay the bills, instead of like, I'm here to have fun, to do what I love. So
totally. You don't want people on autopilot, dead behind the eyes, but play. We try to avoid that.
Let's end with this. What advice do you have for those people who are either grinding away and or people who haven't gotten to that point yet? They're just thinking about starting a career, branding, promoting yourself. What advice would you have for someone who thinks they want to be the next Mia Sera?
I think one of the most important things that we learned is to know yourself and to know your music. Building a brand starts first with having an understanding of what your sound is and who you are as an artist. And I know that can be hard, especially as a young person, because we don't know who we are. I'm 20. Like, how am I supposed to know who I am as a human and as a musician?
But very insightful of you.
Yeah. It's hard. So I think taking the time to experiment and learn and allowing yourself to grow, but also making sure that you are sticking to like a certain brand and a certain style, because trying to do everything, I feel like, doesn't work. So I feel like it's really important as a musician to have a exploration period where you figure out what you want your sound to be and what you feel like best represents you musically, visually, all of it. And then trying to stay true to that. And someone told me once that like building a brand sometimes means turning down opportunities that don't fit in your brand, because a good opportunity maybe isn't always a good opportunity for you. So I think making smart decisions about what you're choosing to do and what you're choosing to surround yourself with and be a part of is really important. And like the way that I gained inspiration for my brand was just like listening to a bunch of music and trying to figure out, what do I like about these songs? What is the common thread between all of this music that I love and enjoy? And then kind of building my own, individual sound from there. And the same thing with visuals. It was like taking in as much as I could, and then saying, what is it that I like about this? And then like spinning off and making my own thing from that. So just having a really clear picture of like who you are, because if you don't know, if you're not sure, people can sense that and they'll try and tell you. And then you might end up in a space where you're being represented in a way that you're not comfortable with, or, you know, your brand is something that you didn't want because you have like, there are always going to be people that are saying, oh, I think your music is this, or I think your music is that, which is totally cool and totally great if you know what it is, you know? So I don't mind like when people try and tell me what genre that they think that I sound like, or what my brand looks like to them and how it exists in their head and in their space, because I know what it is already, you know? So I just like trying to take the time to learn and get to know yourself so that you can then allow other people to get to know you is really important.
Yeah. And I feel like that's especially difficult when you get positive feedback about a direction that you don't want to go, or, you know, this seems like it's happens on everybody's YouTube channel. Like you've got an idea of what you want to do, and you set out to do that, and then this one stupid video that you don't care about becomes really popular. You're like, well, maybe I should just do those then. Maybe that's what the world wants me to be. And then you got to make that decision of, am I chasing after whatever is going to get me the most popular the quickest, or do I stick with what I'm going to do? So
I think people feel authenticity, you know? I feel like in the long run, even if you do like chase a fad or like try and be what you think other people are expecting you to be, music listeners and people that listen to music, fans, are really smart, you know? So I feel like people can sense if you're not being true to yourself, and nobody appreciates that in the long run. So I think it's better, even if you do have to turn down certain opportunities, or even if you do have to say, okay, maybe the next video won't be super viral because I don't really want to do that anymore. I think that's really important that you stay true to who you are. And then, because you want people to like you for who you are, not like this facade that you've created, because then when it falls off, you're like, oh, I don't know if they're going to like me anymore. That's what my mom always tells me. Just be who you are, because you want people to like you for you. You're staying with your brand and with your music, I think.
Yeah, well, and you want to like you for you. You don't want to end up being this really popular thing that you hate, you know, and you got to go out there every night and be that thing.
Exactly.
So, yeah, great. Well, tell everyone where they can find all of your stuff.
Okay. So my name is Mia Sera. You guys can find me on Instagram at Mia Sera Music. It's MIASERA. And same thing for YouTube, just all across my platforms. Check out my video, California Dreamer. I hope you guys like it.
All right. Thanks. And if you have any other questions for Mia Sera, then you can send those along too. We will follow up with her a little bit later and maybe get some of the straggling questions answered. And until next time, good luck. Have fun.